All right, we are live here with the famous Big Mama Rood, and today's going to be a juicy one because this is kind of my topic, right? I'm kind of a doom and gloom kind of guy.
I know. I don't know how juicy I'm going to get because
we're going to have to
it's not my favorite.
We're going to have to go deep and hairy, Mama. Deep and hairy into the nastiness of a recession, right? And that's it's barking its ugly head up, and it's there whether we like it or not. Interest rates are up. Things are slowing down in the real estate market. Days on market are getting longer. Inventory is getting higher. It's here, right? Whether we like it or not. The glory days and the good old days, the past, how long we've been having a bull market? Since 2009, 10 probably. And they've been printing money for probably 12 years now, and things are about to get drastically different, right? Not just from an economic standpoint, but let's just look at the total outlook of it. This country is going and headed in a direction that is crazy. We just had the midterms a couple of days ago, and I mean, look. I mean, they said it would be a red wave. It was to a certain degree, but I mean, you had people that or let's just call it what it is, mentally incompetent, winning.
Not qualified.
Yeah, in states like Pennsylvania, highly not qualified in states like Pennsylvania, where the guy can't even put two sentences together, and unbelievable, right? So it's just unbelievable what's going on. So I want to talk about how to handle that, right? Because Patti and I have been through, this is probably, about 4 crashes. I mean, it's not always good, right? It's when things are really good, you gotta prepare for the bad. And when things are really bad, you gotta realize, hey, it's going to be good again, right? And I struggle with this. I have a lot of anxiety, just to be clear, about, anytime we have an economic slowdown, because I'm such a over the top kind of person when it comes to business and finances and making money, that I don't like to not make money. I don't like when things slow down. So what can you do to mitigate all that risk? What can you do to try to make it less uncomfortable? Because I think we're about to come into some uncomfortable times, right? So Mama, what do you got to say about this before we dig deep into it? Do you have any concerns or thoughts?
This is not my favorite topic.
She doesn't like
but
when we
talk about it at least 3 times a day, probably.
Yeah, well, I mean we got to talk about it. She don't like to confront reality like I do. I like to talk about the good, the bad, and ugly. And I think it's a healthy state of mind for you entrepreneurs to think that way. You got to be paranoid. I think it's unnatural and I would say not mentally healthy for you as an entrepreneur not to have a healthy dose of paranoia in your business. Because if you're just over the top optimistic about everything, that just shows that you're not aware. And to me, frankly speaking, just not intelligent enough to think through that. Oh yeah, let's just be optimistic and everything's going to work out. No, that's not how the real world works. And I think Mama Rood struggles with that a little bit. I like.
Well, I mean, we have my anxieties are in other areas, so.
Everything's different. I agree. Everybody has their things.
Everybody has their things.
You don't worry about it.
That's not something I really focus about, but it is something he extremely focuses about.
Yes.
But you were raised in a family that did a lot of oil field work, and so their life went up and down like that a lot.
Yes, I've seen booms and busts. I've seen parents, struggling with money and fighting and kind of not, we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment back in the early 80s with 4 kids. Mm-hmm. In 1-bedroom apartment with me and my step siblings and my mom and my stepfather. So, I didn't know what was going on at the time, but, just thinking back, I mean, I could see how stressed out they were, right? So, but let's get into it. Let's talk about, what can we do as entrepreneurs to help mitigate this mess that's about to happen, right? Because it's going to be a mess. We got unprecedented, debt. We have unprecedented inflation. We have political divide. We have political mental illness going on right now, right? I mean, it's just unbelievable, right? This cultural degradation that you see is all by design, folks. This shit didn't just happen by chance. They are shoving all this down our throat to demoralizes, right? This is why you see people that are mentally unstable getting put into office. I mean, do you really think the American public is that stupid? No. Do you think they're voting for all these people? Of course not. This is all a horse and pony show that they're trying to normalize. They're trying to normalize it, and they want us to give up, and they want us to get pissed off, right? And you got to keep it cool and almost be stoic about it and just navigate it and just be aware of it. But we're going to give you some key points of what to do to try to help you navigate it, right? And the first thing you need to do is you need to look at your income and you need to look at your expenses, right? I did that today on a notepad with Patti. I was showing you like all the shit, all the stuff that we don't have to have, like in case it gets really bad. What you should do as an entrepreneur is hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And that's a healthy state of mind. Don't hope for the best and don't even look at the worst. No, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And that will get you through it. So what I did is I looked and I take an inventory of all of my expenses. What are the things that I have to have? What are the things I don't have to have? Where can I cut the fat? What do we have to have that we can't cut? And you take inventory, right? And then you just make necessary adjustments, like this is what's going to go first, this is what's going to go second, this is where we're going to cut, right? That's the first thing you should do in your life, right? If you got toys that you have that you can get rid of, that's the first thing that you need. You got a boat. I'm not a boat guy. I don't own a boat. But you got, boats, Sea-Doos, just extracurricular activities that don't make you money. They kind of are just an entertainment thing. That's the first thing you need to get rid of. Then you need to figure out how to increase your income, right? Because the thing you're doing now might get cut, right? We're trying to figure out you need to invest in new skill sets, right? Where's your income? Where's your expenses? How can you decrease your expenses so that your income, you have a wide gap between what you're making and, what you can cut so you can kind of get your income to go up. Because I think we got at least probably a year to 2 years max before this thing gets really, really ugly, especially once the 2024 election comes, if we even have a 2024 election. I hate to talk like this, but this is the truth. I mean, I study, world economic affairs all the time. I read history. I mean, this is a pretty common occurrence where countries get overthrown or countries have civil disputes and countries collapse. I mean, it happens. It happened. We had a civil war back in the 1860s. Don't fool yourself. Then we had a revolution 100 years prior to that in 1772 and 1774, right? And then we fought the Declaration of Independence in 1776. So these things come in cycles, right? Typically 100-year cycles. And I think we're due, because if you've studied the Fourth Turning, I would suggest you guys pick that book up and read it. Everything comes in cycles, right? So income, what can you do to increase your income? I think for us, me and Mom have been looking at other service-based business to look at. We're looking at plumbing company, actually septic tank companies, looking at
stuff that's really needed and wanted.
Really needed and wanted. Stuff you ain't gonna get super rich on, but it's gonna pay the bills because it's steady. It's steady. You gotta figure out like what is going to be needed and wanted, even though the economy crashes. People are still going to, HVACs, plumbing, septic, roofing, carpentry, repair, a lot of repair work. People are probably not going to buy houses, but they're going to fix a lot of stuff in the house.
Even mechanic work.
Work, contracting, all that stuff. It's still needed and wanted. So that's kind of some of the business we're looking at to try to maybe acquire and partner up with people to have as a side hustle. And that's what I want to talk to you about. As far
everybody
as
should have a side
you gotta do what has gotten us out of jams is side hustles. Being super diversified. If you're not diversified and I'm not of the camp where just focus on one thing and dude, I don't focus. I've never focused on one thing. Patti, we've always had our hands in 3 or 4 or 5, 6 different things.
They're probably related to the same area.
Sure.
They're different things.
Right. We weren't splitting atoms and then trying to fly to the moon. Yeah. Like they're all symbiotic. Yeah. There were different aspects of, when I had mechanic shops and we had car washes, quick lube, we did auto glass, window tinting, brake jobs. It was all in the same warehouse. Like with real estate now, we do wholesaling, flipping, mobile home parks, Airbnbs, development. So we're diversified in that, right? So you got to think outside the box of what can you do to diversify yourself, right? And what you need to focus on is acquiring new skill sets, right? And back to what I was telling you guys, don't focus on one thing. I'm not going to sit and pretend that everybody can focus on 4 or 5 different things like I do.
No, but even two
one or two
three,
things. Yeah. you're just simply lazy if you can't do more than one thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like if you just, I just do one thing all day. There's no reason you can't go and start a lawn service on the side, right? Or, in my case, maybe try to start wholesaling a house, houses, right? If you're not doing that, and we do a ton of that, and there's businesses out there that will get good as the economy gets worse, right?
Yeah.
Wholesaling is going to get
crushed it the year our local area took a crash.
2014 oil went from $128 a barrel to $28 a barrel. I freaking crushed it in wholesaling. So there are businesses out there that actually get more revenue and improve when the economy gets bad, and versus when the economy is really good, they don't do as well. So if you can figure out, this is something I want you to write down, guys, and think, just ingrained in your mind, figure out what businesses do well in a down economy, right? Wholesaling, buying whole stuff typically does a little bit better. Lower end, middle income rentals, like anywhere from $600 to $1,000, $600 to $1,200, that middle range. You don't want to be in super high end rentals. That should still stabilize, right? HVAC, people are still gonna. I would pay. Look, if you cold or hot outside, and it's a decision. Do I keep sweating in my house, or I freeze my butt off, or I pay my mortgage? Guess what? People are gonna pay to fix their air conditioning because they ain't gonna be able to get foreclosed on for probably a year, right? So you got to think with these things. You got to think outside the box. Like I said, prepare for the downside. Think of every possible bad scenario that can happen. Right? That's called reverse. How they call it, reverse negativity thinking. And that way, when you think about everything that can possibly happen, if it does happen, your mind has been there and it's not a shock. The blow of it happening is less.
Well, and I think a lot of people are having this realization because we just went through COVID. There was a lot of that in COVID that, some things just completely shut down. Things we never thought would shut down. So I think it was a reality check. To get thinking that way to where you can process how to fix things if that happens. Yes,
reverse visualization, right? Thinking of all the possible negative things that are happening. That way when they happen, they're not as painful because you've been there in your mind and you've already got a plan. And that's what I want to come to next is you got to have a plan. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
What are we going to do?
Well, we're going to cut expenses, right? That's what we're going to do. I mean, we made a list today. Do I really need to have some of these things that I have? No. Now, there's non-negotiables. We got to eat. We got to have a roof over our head, and we each got to have a car to drive, right? Do we need 7 cars? No. Do we need a driving camper? No. Do we need to have our mobile home parks? Yes, they produce income, right? What produces income? What doesn't produce income? Your luxuries need to go out the door, right? And that's the first thing you need to do, right? Second thing I would do if I were you guys, which we do, is we like to eat out a lot. We eat out a whole lot, right? But even though we know how to cook, Mama Rood's a phenomenal cook, it's more convenient.
That's like our vice, I think.
That's our vice. We
love to eat out.
I mean,
we love good food.
We spend a lot of money on eating out every month. So that's something that we don't have to do. We can cook and cut our costs by 75, 80%, right? We have 5 children, right? So, I mean, you got to think like this. And I listen, I don't like talking like this, but I like to talk about it because it eases my mind to know that I know I have to have a plan. I have to have a plan. If I don't have a plan, it gives me anxiety. And I want you guys to have a plan too, because I'm 42 years old. I've been through these crashes. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I had a nervous breakdown when I was 25 years old. I lost 30 pounds. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep because I didn't know what was going on. In 2008, crash happened, and I'm like, what is going on? Right? What is happening? I thought like the whole world was crashing.
Well, we had a brand new baby.
Had our third child, maxed out all my lines of credit, maxed out all my credit cards. I had no money. I was completely broken. I was like, okay, I was in a bad mental state, right? I don't want to go through that again. However, going through that made me the man I am today because it made me harder. It made me realize, hey, I survived it. It's going to be okay. And what it does is it creates this mental muscle that you have to exercise. And the only way to stretch that mental muscle is to what? You got to suffer, right? You got to struggle. You can't get away from it. But when you struggle, what happens when when you're working out, you tear down that muscle, it hurts, but what happens, it heals back and you become stronger. It's no different when you stretch the mental muscle of anxiety, pressure, risk. You stretch that mental muscle, and it made me stronger, right? So don't be afraid to get hurt a little bit. You just got to have a plan, and you just got to mitigate your risk, and just don't get so hurt that you can't recover.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. There's no different when you work out. You don't want to lift so much weight that you tear the muscle completely off the bone, which I've seen a lot of guys do, right?
Well, and I think that's why it's so important to have skills, because no matter what, you never lose your skills.
That's right. That's exactly right. You never lose the skills, right? And this is why I think what's going to really help you guys too is developing new skills, meeting new people, right? And developing new skills. Those two things right there are going to help you get through.
And I think communication is key too. Like, you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to sell.
Sell. Those three. I would say that's great. Yeah, three things right there, right? If you have those three skill sets right now, you will have a higher likelihood of...
Well, and of course, a great work ethic. Like, you need to be able to put in the work.
Yeah, well, that's a given. If you follow me and you don't like to work, then you following the wrong guy. Listen, guys, I'm not a lifestyle guy. I don't claim to be.
He doesn't have the 4-hour work week.
I don't do the 4-hour work week, right? That's just how I'm built. I've tried it. I can't do it. It's not who I am, and I don't want to make you guys wrong that do it. Maybe I do make you guys wrong.
I think work is your purpose. And
it's who I am. I like it. It's my vacation. If I'm not working, I feel like I'm frankly fucking off, right? So new skills, guys. Get some new skills, create new relationships, learn to sell, right? And get lean and mean. Get lean and mean so that you can make it through this crash, right? Let's talk about the real estate side and what I'm doing. We're gonna be getting rid of a lot of flips. We usually have anywhere from 18 to 20 flips going at any given time. I think we only have 8 on the market right now, so we've cut that in half. We're switching more to wholesaling. That's going to be some of the things I wanted to just so you guys know what I'm doing, right?
Fast money.
We're working on fast money, less flips, right? Now, if it's in a phenomenal area, it's got to be a home run deal. Margins are good. We're going to do it, right? But understand that days on market are longer. It's going to take longer to sell. Interest rates.
Holidays are coming up.
Holidays, yeah. We're today's November 11th, 2022. It does slow down during the next couple months for people buying houses and selling houses. Another thing that's really key and pertinent is don't take on too many value add projects in the coming slowdown. I did that the past 4.5 years. I went hard. I bought probably just in the past 4.5. Well, we just sold a park. I think we bought 16, 17 parks in the past 4.5 years. Yep. Most of them were value add. Not all of them, but most of them were. And thank God the economy is good. We made a lot of money. Our wholesaling and flipping, we made a lot of money with our other businesses. We were able to roll all that money into completing a lot of these projects, and now we're coming to the final straw of it, right? We only got I think out of
6.
Yeah, we got 6 out of 350, 400 units. I think we literally rehabbed 350, 400 units. It was a lot of money.
Exhausting.
Right. So what you don't want to go into value add projects like this in the middle of a downturn unless you have the capital right away to do all of it. All these value add projects, I funded cash. I have no debt on all my, brand new. We bought semi-used trailers. I take that back. On the brand new trailers, we did use debt on that, but all the used trailers I bought that were barely used, I paid 15, 20 grand for them. I paid cash to buy them. I paid cash to move them. I paid cash to set them up. I paid cash to renovate the little bit of renovation we had to do on them. So we have tons of equity in our properties, right? So don't take on any value add projects. 3, right? First, get lean and mean. Second, go easy on the value add projects. And 3, get liquid as soon as you can, right? We've got 5 parks for sale right now, maybe 6. 2 in Indiana, 1 in Missouri, 1 in Florida, and one in
Gonzales.
We have 6. Okay, so we have 6 of our 16 parks for sale right now. Why am I doing that? Because I'm getting ready for the turn down. I want to get liquid. Now, which parks am I selling? I'm selling obviously the less valuable ones. You don't want to have to get rid of a good asset to cover your bad assets. Now are they all of the same caliber? No. I mean, you can't hit a home run on every deal. My home run parks, I'm keeping, right? The ones I want to, that are not that old, in great areas that I know I want to keep for the next 5 to 10 years, minimum 8 to 10 years, I'm holding those. The older park, and these are parks that have vinyl siding, they're nicer, better quality areas. We're holding on to those, and then we're getting rid of the parks that are older. So that's what we're doing with that now. So get liquid, sell your stuff that you're not going to keep. And then if you're not going to get liquid, what I do suggest has been a great thing for me and Patti is get access to lines of credit via your real estate that you have paid down or you have no debt on. We have some properties that we have hardly any debt or no debt. We own them free and clear. We pull in lines of credit and they'll give you 80% loan to value. We have an Airbnb we have no debt on that's worth about $400,000. We paid cash for that does about $5,000 a month in revenue. We're pulling a line of credit on it right now. They're going to give us 80% loan to value. So if it appraises for $400,000, 80% of that is roughly 320,000, roughly. 80% of $400,000 is $300,000. So we'll have access that, and it's a way to not have to sell properties and pull cash out at the same times. Lines of credit, I'm telling you, are some of the most undervalued, talked about things in the real estate industry. Pulling lines of credit. Now, I wouldn't do it with the bigger banks. I would do it with the smaller banks. Do it with the smaller community banks. We don't have a whole lot of loans with big banks. That's another key thing I would say is try to get financing with the smaller community banks, not the big institutional banks. They're so over leveraged. They're so in debt. I mean, I worry. Like in 2008, what happened? All the banks crashed. All the big banks crashed, not the smaller community banks. They're not over leveraged, right? They're not like J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs. All these other banks are so over leveraged, right? So that would be some of the things that I would do to get ready for this coming pullback, right? In this current market cycle. And I would say last but not least, right, is get real with yourself, right? Get really, really real with yourself. You got to live in the truth. You can't be so hopefully optimistic that, it's going to be fine because it's been fine the past 20, 30 years. Listen, we ain't ever had this much debt. We ain't ever had this much political divide. We ain't ever been had this much mental instability as a country, right? And whether you far right or far left, I wouldn't call myself far right or far left because I have some socialist tendencies. I take care of my family. I like to give and help people, but I also don't like to be taken advantage of. And I also don't like to be forced to do something either, right? But I also know that there's got to be a somewhat reasonableness to what's going on, and a lot of stuff doesn't make any sense in this country. What's going on is just absolute insanity, right? What they're teaching our kids in school, what they're trying to shove down our throat on TV, all this what I call cultural degradation is just to demoralize us. Simple as that, right? To get us ready for whatever it is that's coming. So, Mama, what do you think about all that before we wrap this up? What are you gonna do? Can you, Mama? Let's reverse engineer this. Worst case scenario, everything's crashing. We're.
Do I have to say what I want?
Yes. What are you gonna do? We're gonna move into a double wide or what? Get a 2-story double wide? Huh?
A 2-story double wide.
2-story double wide.
We don't have one of those yet.
2-story double wide with an above ground pool. Huh? Country living. How are you going to cut back, Mama?
I don't know. To be completely honest, it's going to be a struggle for me. I don't know. I've always worked really hard to have the things that I have. So I'm willing to work twice as hard. I'm more willing to work double as hard than I am to give up. That is a good point. Say that again. I'm more willing to work twice as hard than I am to give up the things that I love that make me happy.
Yep.
I've always been that way, and even when I was young, I worked 4 jobs because I just wanted to have and do and experience certain things, and I was willing to work for it. So if that means that I need to get another side hustle, and I'll do that. That's how I look at it.
That's a great point.
I've always looked at it that way. I was like, yeah, that's just how I would do it.
Work harder, get more skills, get another side hustle just to replace the income. I mean, look, you know me, I ain't scared to work. Like if we had to get back, if I lost everything next year, I could do it all over again. And I would do it smarter, faster than I did before. And I ain't scared to go jump on a lawnmower, grab a weed eater, grab a pressure washer, and do blue collar labor work.
I would be waiting tables some more. I love that. No, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think I would be, you have to humble yourself.
Absolutely.
And be willing to provide.
Do anything you got to do to survive. Like you can't just be so ritzy and so, as high maintenance as Mama Rood is, she is a hard worker. I have to give her that. She will work like a dog if she has to. And I think that's what get real with yourself. That's what I mean by getting real with yourself. Like it may get to that point, right? It may get to where you have to start over. Look, I mean, I've almost been bankrupt twice. I mean, it's a scary feeling, and it's not fun to have to even talk about that. But you got to get real with yourself and live in the truth. Like when the economy pulls back, things get really hairy. You don't know what's going to happen. All you can do is increase your skills, decrease your expenses, and try to figure out how to hang on, right, and get lean and mean, right, Mama?
We're going to get lean and mean.
We're going to get lean and mean. Lots of more pork chops. And Mama, you don't like pork chops. You like them steaks. Might be eating more pork chops.
I might not be eating as much sushi. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. She's eating too much sushi right now. She's above steak. She's too highfalutin. She just wants to eat sushi every day. Anyway, guys, hope this helps. Reach out to us if you need help with your real estate game, your business game, your skills. We want to help you. We want to partner with you. We want you to come to our masterminds. We've built the life we've built through relationship capital. I have partners all over the country that were once my students that we took our skills and put them into them, and then they were great people. We wanted to partner up. And honestly, I think one of the biggest attributes you can have to make it through the next crash is to have allies, right?
Good people around
and good people around you that you can trust that'll help you make money, right? Because if you got good people around you, you will make money. So if you haven't made it already out to one of my masterminds, inbox me on social media if you want to come out to one of the Allies Mastermind. The next one's December 2nd and 3rd?
Yep. Destin, Florida.
Destin, Florida. We're in the 3-story mansion on the beach.
So excited.
10,000 square feet is an unbelievable house across the street from the house that we bought.
Best house in Destin.
It's the best house in Destin. So inbox me on social media. If you don't follow me already, go to Chris Rood Entrepreneur on my business page. You can go to my regular Facebook page, Chris Rood, press the like button. Also there. Real Estate Rood at Instagram. LinkedIn. You can follow me on YouTube. This will be uploaded onto YouTube. If you need some coaching or anything, you want to go to my website, go to chrisrood.com, book a call with me. Other than that, Mama, where can they follow you?
On Instagram, on Living the Real Estate Life.
Okay. And Facebook?
Patti Rood.
Patti Rood. All right, guys. Go out there and keep skilling up, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast. Peace.